second. Yep. All right. So David tells me I go over on my time, so I'm about to set my stopwatch. Just that's how you know I'm actually doing something. If I was like this, I'd be on Clash of Clans. I'd be like trying to act like I'm on my iFlash for you cards, and instead I'm over here battling on Clash of Clans. But you know. Where is my stopwatch? Here we go. Bam. All right. So, Ronnie, we just kind of blew through a little bit of an introduction on the long-term care.
Yeah.
You know, we've got what it is. It's basically when you can't basically fend for yourself. But what we need to do is talk about what is fending for yourself and how do you even get into this situation. If we're talking about a disability income policy or something like that, we know that you had a job, you were okay, you were working, and all of a sudden something happened, an injury, an illness, something happened, right?
Yeah.
Well, with the long-term care, what we're looking at here is basically two different types of incidences that could happen, injuries or illnesses. The first one's going to be acute, right? Not like, oh, look at that puppy, it's so cute. No, we're talking about an acute illness, which is, it's a serious condition. Goes back to our COVID conversation, but it's a serious condition that you can fully recover from, okay? The next is going to be a chronic condition, all right? If it's chronic, you're never really going to be the same. It's not curable, okay? Something's. We're not saying that you're definitely long-term care material, but like a bronchitis or something along those lines, something that diminishes your lung function, right there would be considered a chronic condition that you're never going to get that lung function back, all right? Now, when one of these things happens, real important for you to remember, most long-term care policies are a flat rate benefit, okay? We kind of talked about that, Ronnie, right? We were talking about in reference to how much long-term care cost. Well, you know, it could be anywhere from that $3,500 for a little bit of help inside the house, all the way up to some $80-something thousand plus if you're getting full-time service, right?
Yeah.
Well, if that service costs, like you said, $225 a day, but your policy gives you $250 a day, $25 a day right in your hand. You can go online gambling and you'll go hit one of those places. You got dementia. You won't remember you lost the money every day. It'd be like every day you just lost a new $25. But anyway, you don't have to have dementia. You could have something else, but Anyway, you know what I could say? It's funny. We can kind of talk a little bit of trash because, I mean, if you're in the licensing class, you don't have dementia, so I'm not gonna, funny story about dementia. It makes me smile because it makes me think of grandma, right? So my grandmother lived in a one-story spot, and my mom was Ita's primary caretaker. Like we mentioned, she would come through. And her work, like imagine this is like her roadmap to her house. Well, here's Ita's house, here's work. So mom came through, stopped in the morning, at lunch, had lunch there in the evenings. And sometimes since my grandma was losing it a little bit, she just comes up with these complaints. And so my mom was all pissed off because she wouldn't stop complaining about her neighbors upstairs from her. So obviously this is probably like an old school memory from New York or something along those lines. But she lives in a one-story spot. She didn't have upstairs neighbors, right? And so she's driving my mom nuts. And my mom, like, I just take a different approach to things. Like, you take it. So anyway, I come in and I don't care. It's not like I work for my grandma day in, day out, right? I just show up. I bring her Chick-fil-A. I bring her all the things she remembers she likes, right? So I'm out there and she's like, oh my God, right? So she comes out and I'm outside and we're looking at the house and she's telling me about her neighbors that are so noisy. And we're looking at the house and said, yeah, Ita, your upstairs neighbors are noisy. And she starts cracking up, goes, right? She used to snort, and she goes, I'm crazy, right? I say, yeah, but nobody cares. And my mom was so mad because I'm like egging my grandma on to like to complain about her upstairs neighbors as I'm handing her Chick-fil-A and be like, ah, it's all right, you're crazy. Don't worry about it, Mom. Get over it. Yeah, so that's like one of my favorite memories, though. So it is. That's hysterical dementia memory. I mean, but the flip side of the coin is that my grandma did have to go into long-term care because even though my mom was there in the morning and at lunchtime and then after work and then did the laundry and stuff, it was those moments where like she was hungry and could remember she needed to eat but didn't remember that she put something in the oven or on the stove or something like that, or put hot water on instead of cold water on without the. So it gets scary, right? So in that, what basically you have is you have a couple of different levels to this, right? We're talking about the acute illnesses and the chronic illnesses, but we also have mental illnesses and stuff. And we're going to run through these pretty quick, but we're going to revisit them and then run through them again quick and then revisit them again and run through them again quick. Because we got to go over terminology. Right now we're just breaking into the story so you have something to stick it to, right? But basically the way it works down to is that your activities of daily living, right? So my grandmother, she, like I said, you really can't, if you can't follow the cooking process, you shouldn't be cooking. Well, that gives you a problem for feeding, right? If you can't remember those certain things, you shouldn't be pulling out your wallet and paying people for delivering your food and bringing people into that type of environment, right? So, the activities of daily living, we're looking at feeding, going to the bathroom, bathing, dressing, walking. It's all those things. If you can't do those things for yourself, long-term care is designed to help you do that. Our job, I say our job, but in long-term care, well, yeah, our job is to work with the person we're talking to and establish what is the most sustainable and suitable long-term care position for them, right? Because we don't want to make sure that somebody has a great quality of life for a couple of years and then all of a sudden it deteriorates down to nothing, right? So that's kind of what our job here is, and the client's situation is what dictates where we're going, what we're looking at, what kind of coverages, what the ailment and the predicament is. But you're either going to be in a skilled nursing care, which is what my grandmother needed. She needed around-the-clock service, right? Because, I mean, you got to do things around the clock. You don't get to choose when you go to the bathroom. That kind of service is in a nursing home, nursing care facility, long-term care facility. Those words are pretty much interchangeable. The nursing home is going to be where you have skilled people helping, the residents with life, So that's like my grandma and dementia. Your intermediate nursing care. Now this is provided by registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, nurses' aides, but this is under the care of a physician, okay? An intermediate is going to be for stable conditions, something that is, if we left that person alone, they can reasonably, interact and do some of these things. It could be provided in a home health care setting. So the early stages of my grandma, right? We did actually, before we went to full time, we had somebody that helped with care, and then we had somebody that was coming in, and when they did the food delivery services and things like that, that person would help and assist. So that would be kind of under that intermediate care there, where she's still competent enough to be on her own if she had some assistance. And then custodial care, which it provides assistance in meeting the daily living requirements. That was that person in between the delivery who just kind of came in and cleaned the dishes and things like that, helping them get out of bed. But it doesn't require anything that's specialized, okay? So when you look at custodial, think about kids. Isn't that a term that's commonly used, Ronnie, for kids? Like you have custodial custody of the kids, right? It just means that you're helping them get through certain things. So think about that. Custodial is usually going to be a family member, a close friend, something like that, where we're breaking away from the intermediate, which is that little bit of extra care where the person does have the services, the credentials, I should say, to assist you. And then the first one, skilled nursing care. Yo, man, you might as well be a serial killer because we ain't letting you out on your own. We don't know what you're gonna do.
Jason, I got two questions.
Yes.
The physical activities, right, that you mentioned, feeding, toileting, bathing, it's just one of those. It's not that the person can do all. One
Yeah.
of those will qualify, ¿verdad?
Yes.
For long-term.
Because if you think about it, like if that person can't dress themselves, you whatever the reason may be, whether they can't think, from a mental standpoint or a physical disability, right? Yeah. Well, so the stroke would fall under the mental, but if we had a physical disability or something where, we couldn't go into it, then, a lot of these things, if we look at, let's just say, like I said, walking, let's go simpler, dressing. So dressing, we're talking about requirements like putting, being able to get that balance and stuff like that. Well, that's already puts you at a very high risk going into your bathing, right? So,
The basic activities.
yeah, it's
the ability to perform the basic activities. That's
yes.
the question. When he said activities, it have to be a couple, or if it's only one.
Yeah, the definition of it's gonna, there's some minimums there, but I do believe it's at least 2. Don't quote me on that yet.
Okay. Yeah.
That
We can look at
is
it later.
yes, ADLs. I should know that, but I think it's 2.
Okay, out of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, TikTok. Let me find this for you. I'll find it because I know it's in here,
Yeah.
but I think it's actually in here under the Medicare. And because I'm all handicapping myself on the book, I can't think. I'm
sure we're going to cover that later.
Here it is. Conditions determining benefit payment. Long-term care insurance policy may condition the payment of benefits on a determination of the insured's ability to perform activities of daily living on a cognitive impairment. Eligibility for the payment of benefits must not be more restrictive than requiring either deficiency in the ability to perform not more than 3 of the activities of daily living or presence of a cognitive impairment. All right, so that really, really sucks of a definition, but it's 3.
3.
They can't do 3 of them, and that's where, so let's look at this. It would be bathing, right? Yeah. Washing themselves with a sponge tub, task of getting in and out of the shower. Cognizance means the ability to maintain control of their bowels, Dressing, eating, going to the bathroom. So right near the cognizance, and am I pronouncing that right? Continence, toileting.
Oh.
Yeah, like being able to hold on to. I'm gonna see. I may not be your bilingual instructor, but I'm from Brooklyn, and we really pronounce things pretty badly sometimes, right? And then you want to know why my Spanish ain't on point? My Spanish ain't on point because my English ain't on point, right? But you didn't hear that from me. Support our troops. All right. But do you see, like, in that, a lot of those are kind of hand in hand once one of them starts going. And so, like, if you're having a problem moving in and out of bed and things along those lines, the odds you're going to be able to get in and out of the shower are really low. The odds you being so if that's why it's 3 of those things, and you can see here where it's really if it's not mental, it's because if you lose control of your bladder, go hit the Depends aisle. All right, it doesn't qualify you, like, just because it. I'm just going to leave it at that. It doesn't qualify you.
I got it.
You know, but yeah, so if you can't do three of the daily activities of living, 5, 3, yeah, so that was actually, so do you see how I keep flipping back and forth here?
Yeah.
Guys, this is why we have the 40 and 4 resource, because in order to go through this, what they're trying to do here, the state's not trying to aggravate the hell out of you, okay? It's just that we have to identify what the product is in type of policies, right? And then we got to explain what it covers, which would be in reference to the state, it's almost minimum requirements, right? And then we got to show you where your disclosures are, which would be a violation, right? And so that's why I'm jumping, because Chapter 29 is actually law. Chapter 29 is almost the entire law section of this course, you know, and that's where I'm flipping. I'm flipping from 21, which is types of policies, to 29, you know, and so that's why I would probably say that that's one of the top reasons people fail at such a high rate when it comes to this class, is because nothing is coming through in a story, right? So we literally stopped right there because, I mean, really because I just failed to re-wake up my computer. If my computer would have been open, it would have been there, right? But think about that. I deliver this class on a regular basis, and we literally wrote the course. But when it's not there in front of you, how are you recalling it, right? Yeah. And it was that word I can't pronounce. I thought I was missing something out, the continence, whatever. But anyway, it was that word. It's toileting, all right? You have a problem. You can't go to the bathroom, that's it, all right? So what is it in Spanish? What's that word in Spanish? Don't know, right?
I don't know the word in Spanish.
Wait,
Hey, look, what you say, going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's the way I guess we understand. You want me to go on those two? The 21, 2, 2, and 21, 2, 3?
No, let me jump into this right here. We'll jump. We're going to move over to, now that we knew that if you can't do three of those, that was important, you know, because it was, we're going to go through it in the next section, you know, the next part of this episode. But let's talk about the type of care, right? So we just came in and we talked about the acute and the chronic, right? Another one that's kind of nice that we should cover here is, let's see, there is another term. Cognitive. That's where it's the person's short-term or long-term memory. All right, so it's cognitive is if it's not physical, it's a cognitive disability. I want to throw that out there so that way David can go ahead and put the keywords. Cognitive. Right? Just another word that they're going to use for mental. It sounds so much more classy. Now, all right, so we have your cognitive, we have your physical disabilities. How is long-term care provided, all right? We mentioned that you have the custodial, which is not skilled labor, right? It's not a skilled nurse, it's not anybody in particular, it's not a physical therapist that's been ordered by a doctor. It's just a regular person, somebody who gives a crap whether or not you gave a crap. All right? Now, so what that means is that we now know that the nursing home is your institutional care, right? Your home-based care, I mean, we really can't, I can't define that anymore for you, right? So you either went to a nursing home or the nursing home came to you. It's either a skilled or unskilled labor, right? Yeah. And then the next one is community care, okay? So what the community care is basically saying is like, that's, you know, when we talk about Medicare and we talk about senior access centers and things like that, you know, keeping someone connected with the community is considered quality of life and something that us as insurance agents should be doing and helping our clients stay connected to the community they're in. Mm-hmm. I would say that that's probably the most neglected part of our job. So let me ask you guys over here in your I like it at home world. Is there anything I can do for you to help connect you with your community a little bit better? Are you all right? Are we okay? All right. No, anyway, I just had to go ahead. Remember, it was like that movie, I Care a Lot? I told you I don't care a lot. That was all for you. That was all an act. I'm just kidding. I love you antisocial people. Stay home. So anyway, so we got the institutional care, we got the home-based care, we got the community care. Now, in the home and community-based services, basically, that's me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in my dojo right here. Somebody's coming. They're bringing me my food. You know what's funny? Am I in home-based care now because I got that green chef where Amazon comes and drops off the food and all you got to do is open the box, and I got these really cool refrigerated boxes now. It's like, it's weird. I was like, how are they going to ice up my food and bring my food over here? Look, I'm just learning all this high-tech stuff.
I think you're practicing.
I'm practicing, right? My quality of life. I'm working on my quality of life.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, if only I could get somebody to wipe me. Anyway, so it's usually you're in a home base or a community care setup. Think about your retirement communities where they have the big rec centers and things like that. There's quite a bit of them, especially over here in senior land that we call Florida and the west coast of Florida where Ronnie over here lives. You know, as you start driving down to Tampa, the moment you pass Ronnie's house, you're required to be over 65 in order to progress. When you get to Naples, I think you got to be at least 80. I can say that because we don't have that many clients in Naples for some reason. I'm thinking you guys are all retired. So, but the home base, those are things that can include, we know that the skilled and nursing can do a whole array of things. That's going to be for your physical person because you can't leave somebody with a cognitive impairment at home, right? But your rehabilitative services are also included, but it would have to be ordered by a doctor. It's part of your treatment. So let's just say that would be like your stroke, right? The stroke would need the rehabilitative and things like that. So the stroke created a long-term possible cognitive and physical impairment, you know? And so the therapist would be there to help you with the physical, and, you know, if it was cognitive, that meant that, you know, and a lot of times it's not. Like, you don't lose the ability, you lose your mobility, you know? So that's your home-based care. So you kind of get it, right? As long as you have your wits about you, you can get care in your home, and it's once again, it's covered, right? A flat benefit means that if you're getting this, if they're paying you $250 a day in your benefits, and you can get care at home significantly cheaper, the rest of it is yours, you know? So, you know, that unskilled care, they will help with things like cooking and cleaning. That's not uncommon. And it doesn't have to be somebody who's custodial either, all right? Like, you can have somebody that's literally coming in. Like I mentioned, my grandmother had the Meals on Wheels kind of thing going on. You know, that person came in and helped and sat down with her and actually... And that's part of that community living. The fact that they didn't know if my grandmother had somebody to actually eat with and things like that. They didn't just come and drop off the food. That the lady that did the rounds actually would sit there and then got done and cleaned everything up. And it was a really cool setup. And I gotta ask my mom how that was, because that might have actually been, some of those things might have been covered by her Medicare, you know? So now let's just say you're still in that, for lack of a better term, independent. I like that, independent. Let's just say you're still in that independent kind of phase of your life. You know, that's where you come into that. Also, the adult daycare. Okay, so the adult daycare means that once again you don't have a cognitive impairment because you can at least get to the adult daycare, set up your transportation or anything. But it's just that. The things that you might have a little bit of issues with, maybe it's your mobility, maybe it's just sticking in reference to community interaction and things along those lines. But, you know, home delivered meals, transportation to access centers, doctors, things along those lines, look-in and call-in services, and the community-based services like we were talking about, that falls under your, that falls under your alternative care. Adult daycare is for those who require assistance with the little things, like the mobility kind of things. Somebody who might have, let's just say my mom and my dad had a 2-story house. They don't. They have a 1-story house. But, if anybody was going to need help, it'd be dad, right, Mom? It'd be dad. So if Mom was out hanging out with us because dad drives her nuts sometimes, on those days, Mom would be able to get an adult daycare service to help dad get up and down those stairs, right? So then they got to listen to his stories. That's what Mom would say. But anyway, dad ain't watching this class, and he doesn't have social media. So I can tell you, he's like, you might as well. I'm like, dad won't know. Anyway, but the adult daycare, they do have some skilled medical care, but really it's going to be more of the personal social services, keeping them connected. And that would have been more for those times when I said my mom came in. Let's just say my mom came in to see my grandmother in the morning, gave her breakfast in the morning, and then took her to the adult version of a YMCA to go hang out, right? They got gym teachers in the YMCA. Here we got, medic alert people in case you fall and can't get up, all right? Now, your alternative care, okay? Now, that's a combination. Doesn't it kind of sound like that? Alternative. If you're not going to be in a home community environment, if you're not going to be in an adult daycare, doesn't that alternative sound like a transition? That's exactly what it is. It's your hybrid. It's alternative. That means you have alternatives, right? So even if you had a cognitive impairment, perhaps there's 2 of you. Like I used my mom and my dad for example, right? If my dad had the cognitive impairment, then my mom could use a series of these resources. She might be able to get the food delivered because she can't leave them to go, shopping for very long or something like that. So in those kind of instances, that's where we're talking about it's a package of home, community, and includes trained caregivers, all right? That's where when I jumped ahead a little bit and I was talking about my grandma and the foods and stuff that they were delivering and things like that, that's where the alternative care, where it's like you can get the community-based services. If my mom had to go to work and be gone for that whole day, they would send somebody over there to kind of do the look-in services and help with that food or something. So that's that alternative. That alternative is right before you start realizing that I can't be on my own,
Yeah, he said it's designated for less expensive, no? Traditional institution, because it's a mix.
Yes, because you're getting your home, you're getting the services that come with your other plans and things along those lines. And so it's a good strategy, but it's a strategy for somebody with either limited resources but doesn't want to be separated. And that's where it's nice, that alternative. Now, also, before we jump completely out and look at the continuous care, the adult daycare, the alternative care, the home and community care, adult daycare sounds like a break, doesn't it? Like if I was go ahead and I was like, yo, man, this millennial is driving me nuts. I'm going to drop his ass off at the adult daycare. Right? Why? Because I just need a break. Well, that's actually called a respite care, okay? So when the caretaker just needs a little bit of a break, and it's not like in the middle of the day, like more like a vacation, But the respite care is designed to provide a short rest period for a family caregiver. There's 2 options. Either the insured is moved to a full-time care facility or a substitute care provider moves into the insured's home for a temporary period, giving the family member a rest from his or her caretaking activities. So that respite care, that's a vacation, like I'm over here, mom's over here tired of wiping dad. She wants to go out with her girlfriends. She's going to go ahead and hit a little Cancun. She got her shot. She don't care. She's about to get it on. Just because dad can't do much, mom can, right? In that instance right there, mom's going to go ahead and either put his ass in the home or have somebody come in and stay with him, right? Yeah, here you go. I'm going to take a respite. I'm out. I'm gonna go Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, and not only that, man.
What? Oh yeah, respite care. Respite.
I want to mention that you throw it in a funny way, but to taking care of somebody that is disabled,
It's serious, man.
it's hard, man.
Yeah.
And it burn out anybody.
You know,
I have
we got
family
kids.
members, family members and friends that they've been taking care of. Family members that they go through Alzheimer, dementia, accidents, and you can see the token that it takes from
The toll.
that it takes from the person, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you dedicate your life to take care of that person. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
That's what that respite is so important, because that person needs to charge energy to come back and keep.
That's right. That's where that good care comes from. You got to make them want to care. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. And then next step out of that is that continuing care. So basically, let's just see what they say here. A fairly new kind of long-term care coverage, continuing care coverage, is designed to provide a benefit for an elderly individual who lives in a continuing care retirement community. You see why I don't go through this book, right? I mean, is it just me, or does that definition and opening line suck? Right? Because I always thought that if you used the word that you were defining in the definition, you didn't define the word, did you? I mean, isn't that what we were taught in high school? So, retirement communities are geared to senior citizens' full-time needs, both medical and social, and they're often sponsored by religious nonprofit organizations. So, you don't need to know that last part. It provides independent and congruent living. So basically, continuing care is that retirement facility that I was talking about, the community. Okay, so that's your continuing care. I thought we actually they didn't bring up the institutional care, right? Well, that's your nursing. I guess that's because we opened up with institutional care. What is long-term care is when you can't do it for yourself. So that kind of brings us back to like the disability income when we talk about what's a disability. They don't actually tell you that a disability is a total disability. They just want you to assume it. So here, institution, we're assuming according to the book that it starts off at an institution, and that's why it goes over to the next page over here and then breaks down what are your non-institutions. So that's actually the way this would have been labeled better. It would have been labeled if it was what is institutionalized long-term care, what are your other alternatives. So on this next page, it's not really much here, man, but I'm going to jump through this anyways. 21.2.4.1, page 345 at the bottom, long-term care services. Qualified LTC services are defined as diagnostic, preventative, therapeutic, curing. Why curing? Because acute illnesses can be cured. Treating, acute, mitigating, managing, and rehabbing. And all of those packaged. So you see it's everything from helping you get cured, everything to just making sure that you have a reasonable quality of life, is all under long-term care services. Some of them just it's under physician care. Somewhere in there, care is in that long-term care. Just think under physician's care. So it might not be immediately under care right there, but overall the facility does have it there for you. Qualifying for benefits, that's where we were at the other day. There was we'll end right here. And that's where we just end off right there, making sure you understand. Activities of daily living. What are they? Eating, toileting, transferring, being able to move from the bed to other rooms, just mobility, bathing, dressing, and continence. I think I got it right then, continence. Right? So you want to go ahead and kind of paraphrase that? Or in Spanish? Is that a little much here?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's on? Check. That's not that much. Skilled intermediate custodial. Yeah. Most of that was just stories, man. Yeah. All right. Nah, let it go, let it go, let it go.
I need an English book, okay?
Yep. So this is all I did right here.
Yeah.
So on here, I just kind of came in through this, little skilled. I ran through that, and I ran through these. That's it. This, we already talked about this. Just through this, that's it.
Perfect, yeah.
That's not much.
Okay.
It's not much, just long-winded.
I got it.
Man, David like disappeared. He like snuck out. He's like, boom.
Ok, so hablamos que era el seguro a largo plazo, fue una de las cosas que ya mencionamos. Estábamos hablando en cuanto a la cobertura.
Time out.
Ya.
Flag on the play. I forgot to give you the microphone. You know, I don't know why the microphone is just sitting right here. We didn't hook it up. But
Perfecto. Entonces estábamos hablando primeramente en el 21.22, que es un seguro de cuidado a largo plazo. Ya eso lo explicamos, ¿verdad? Entonces estábamos hablando que más compañías están entrando en este producto para empezar a ofrecer esta cobertura porque la necesidad ha seguido creciendo, la cantidad de personas que están entrando a los 65 años aquí en Estados Unidos. About how many, remember we were talking, Jason, about how many people turn 65?
yeah, I think it's something like 10,000 in Florida.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
So, I mean, thousands of people, por eso es que la necesidad ha seguido creciendo. Y el long-term care o cuidado a largo plazo lo que hace es que básicamente cubre esta necesidad de una manera económica, ¿no? Donde pues se asigna una cantidad fija. Hablamos de 225, que es lo que dice el libro como promedio. Pero lo que quiere explicar en este punto es que si te están pagando 225, pero la facilidad solamente cuesta $200, pues obviamente esos $25 son tuyos, ¿no? Es del asegurado, ¿no? Porque esa es la cantidad, los 225. Y dice que hay beneficios desde $40 hasta 300. Le estaba contando a Jason que muchos años atrás, cuando yo empecé en esta industria del seguro, tenía unos vecinos que yo vivía aquí en Orlando, en el área de Orlando, y unos vecinos eran de Vermont, vivían acá. Una pareja muy buena, eran personas mayores, pero eran bien inteligentes en cuanto a prepararse al futuro, no tenían hijos. Y en aquel momento tuve una conversación con ellos de Long Term Care, y él lo que estaba buscando era en qué estado ellos podían retirarse, digamos, pero en una facilidad como esta. Él estaba buscando un sitio que le costara $80 el día, por darte un ejemplo. Así él tenía una idea de qué cobertura podía tomar en aquel tiempo que le cubriera, ¿verdad?, a él y a su esposa, porque él sabía que cuando llegara ese momento no iba a haber familiares que los cuidaran. Pero es otra manera de uno buscar, ¿verdad? No necesariamente tiene que ser local, puede ser en otro sitio, tipo como una casa de retiro. Ahora, la cobertura... Jason estaba explicando que se miran en dos tipos de... Voy a mirar aquí, Jason, un momentito. Condiciones, ¿verdad? La primera condición, en inglés le llaman acute illness. And it's funny, porque cuando cute para nosotros los hispanos sounds like nice o cute, era algo que yo como que no entendía bien. Y él realmente dice una enfermedad aguda, acute, no cute, sino acute, ¿verdad? Una enfermedad aguda puede ser algo como neumonía, dice influenza. La idea de esta enfermedad aguda es que la persona puede recuperarse, ¿verdad? Que el paciente va a necesitar ayuda, pero va a poder recuperarse de esta enfermedad. La segunda que se menciona es crónica, o sea, enfermedades crónicas, y te especifica artritis, enfermedad cardíaca, hipertensión, o sea, condiciones como diabetes, cuestiones del corazón, tal vez condiciones que no se van a poder curar, ¿verdad? Y estas son dos coberturas que van a estar incluidas en el Long Term Care. Entonces, estos cuidados a largo plazo, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo se proveen estos cuidados a largo plazo? Pues el libro te especifica tres maneras. Una es atención de enfermería especializada, lo que le llaman skill nursing, ¿no? Atención especializada. Esto es
vamos a decir 24/7, las 24 horas del día, porque es continua, es todo el día y la noche, es una atención prestada por profesionales, por médicos con licencia y supervisada, ¿verdad? También por doctores, o sea que están especializados y suele ser en asilos de ancianos, ¿no? Es donde esta atención de enfermería especializada se provee. Segundo, cuidados de enfermería intermedia. Acá le llaman lo mismo, Intermediate Nursing Care, que es proporcionada por enfermeras registradas, enfermeras de práctica con licencia y se proporciona de una manera intermedia, o sea, no son las 24 horas del día como la anterior, ¿no? Esta no tiene que ser 24 horas. Y por último, la atención de custodia. Esta presta asistencia con cuestiones de la vida cotidiana, bañarse, vestirse, levantarse, ¿verdad? Y así sucesivamente. Y entonces requiere ayuda, pero no tiene que ser médica especializada. O sea, que esta persona no tiene que ser una persona que tenga alguna licencia ni que esté bajo supervisión médica, ¿no? Entonces dice que en términos generales, los tipos de servicios de apoyo asociados con el long-term care o cuidado a largo plazo es atención institucional, basada en casa o cuidado en la comunidad. Esas son las tres maneras como lo pueden utilizar. Entonces luego se habló un poco en cuanto a cómo, ¿no? Hogar y servicios de base comunitaria, o sea, los servicios de salud en el hogar, que son proporcionados, ¿verdad? Generalmente sobre una base de tiempo parcial. La persona no necesita que alguien esté con ellos a las 24 horas del día, ¿no? Que puede ser rehabilitación, terapia física, cuidado, ¿verdad? Ordenado por un médico. Así es que este cuidado, dice, no califica como cocina o limpieza en este tipo de servicio. El segundo es cuidado de día para adultos. Vamos a ver acá. Este es diseñado para los que requieren asistencia con varias actividades, como habíamos mencionado, mientras que los que lo cuidan primaria, que tal vez sean familiares, pues están ausentes, ¿no? Tal vez no están en ese momento, tomaron un receso, están de vacaciones, salieron, no sé, al cine, a hacer algo, y entonces pueden ser en guardería donde uno puede llevar a la persona para que la cuiden por un ratito, como decimos nosotros, pero es supervisado. Los cuidados alternos son cuidados donde lo puedes hacer en la casa y en el lugar específico, ¿no? Se alternan, por eso se dice alterno, donde pues incluye pues comidas a domicilio, servicios de transporte, guardería para adultos, y está diseñado como una alternativa de menos costo, porque no está 100% en un lugar, como habíamos hablado, en un hogar o un hogar de salud, ¿no? O un asilo, como le decimos nosotros, sino que es alterno y por eso pues cuesta un poquito menos. Y dice el cuidado de relevo. El cuidado de relevo era lo que estábamos hablando acá, que tiene que ver con proporcionar un breve periodo de descanso para el miembro de la familia que está cuidando a esta persona, ¿no? Hay dos opciones, ya sea traslado a un centro de cuidado o proveerlo directamente en la casa por un tiempo parcial, donde así la familia puede descansar de las actividades de este cuidado. Algo que estábamos hablando, Jason pues siempre pone historias o cosas, pero hablando un poco más en serio, que era lo que estábamos mencionando, el uno hacerse cargo, y esto yo lo he visto en mi familia, en amistades, con personas que están pasando pues tal vez por Alzheimer, por demencia, han tenido strokes. La persona que le toca, el familiar que se echa encima esa responsabilidad, es una responsabilidad grande. Y entonces, pues obviamente llega un momento en que va a necesitar, ¿no?, un receso, va a necesitar recargar las baterías, como decimos nosotros, para poder seguir con eso. Y ese es el cuidado de relevo, ¿no? Y al final habla de cuidado continuo. Y el cuidado continuo está diseñado para promocionar beneficios para personas mayores que viven en una comunidad de retiro, ¿verdad? Y esto lo vemos mucho, especialmente aquí en Florida, que hay comunidades de retiro, donde pues son personas de tercera edad y pues ahí tienen asistencia médica, tienen también programas sociales, ¿no?, que son patrocinados normalmente por lo que le llaman non-profit o pues organizaciones sin fines de lucro o organizaciones religiosas. Y entonces proporciona independencia para que la persona pueda vivir, ¿verdad?, y pueda tener atención, ¿verdad? Especializada, pero en un entorno que le permite ser un residente de una comunidad. Y hasta aquí es la parte que estaba cubriendo de lo que Jason había mencionado anteriormente. We got it.
100%. All right.
I like this, man. Let me go to the bathroom.